short for Somi, and it is with joy and gladness that I can announce to you that after a long 2-week break, Dr. Majeed is back with us today. Good to see you,
Thank you very
sir.
much.
And
It's good to be back.
Thank you for being here.
And good afternoon to our listeners.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon. It's always such a hassle because we have to do, everybody's asking. Last week was public holiday. People should calm down. Let him get some rest as well.
Yes.
But it's good to have you here. So let's get straight into the conversations here. First one, Nigerian lawmakers have moved to counter a U.S. Senate bill targeting Nigeria over religious freedom. Recall that on the 9th of September, some U.S. senators sponsored a bill seeking to classify Nigeria as a country of particular concern for alleged violations of religious freedom. They cited a number of reports that had as many as 7,000 Christians being killed in different parts of the country. And this country of particular concern conversation came up again a few days ago. And it's been a matter of serious debate. If you look at what the implications are if Nigeria is labeled a CPC, that's a country of particular concern, there have been some conversations around restrictions to U.S. foreign aid, targeted sanctions, trade restrictions, and all of that. And so you have the House of Representatives coming out to express serious concern and also raising a motion which they titled Urgent Need for Coordinated Diplomatic and Domestic Response to the Proposed Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025, which was put forward the U.S. Senate. And they have also raised a motion fighting the mischaracterization of Nigeria's security and religious freedom landscape. And Mr. Kalu was the one who presented this on the floor. And Mr. Kalu presented on the floor on the 9th of September a bill titled Religious Freedom Accountability Act, and it has been a subject of conversation. And this is the Nigerian government's response to it. And we want to look at what this means for us. First and foremost, I know that when this first came up in September, there was a lot of pushback. Even Khan came out to say there is no genocide going on as far as the Christians are concerned. And I was really looking forward to seeing what the coordinated response of the government was going to be beyond some statements here and there, because they are really, really particular about wanting to characterize Nigeria as this. As a matter of fact, I think we came under this designation under the previous U.S. president, but then we were delisted, and then there are calls to bring it back up. But is this really a mischaracterization of what is going on in Nigeria? When some analysts have tried to break down the situation around insecurity and the number of lives being lost, maybe they will say to categorize everything as religious genocide is a bit of a reach. But are people being killed in Nigeria? Who are there targeted killings and all of that? I don't know. What's your take on this? Let's get into it.
Ordinarily, you would expect that when a country like the United States of America, with a very wide network of global intelligence gathering capabilities, come up with a statement. You don't just hurriedly dismiss it with a wave of hands and mobilize regime supporters to begin to air opinions, denouncing it in a very reactionary manner. One should have expected a response such as this. Okay, yes, we take note of the concerns raised by the United States of America as it concerns our Christian population and the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, and that the government is committed to protecting all lives and property, irrespective of religious affiliation or creed, something of this nature. And I would have expected the government to use this as like a shock therapy to look at areas they have not been looking into, so as to be able to address the security issues in Nigeria comprehensively. Now, you see, for those who are raising concern about Christians and killings of Christians in Nigeria, their fears and concerns are not altogether unfounded. And this is something I've always had conversations about with people in government to say, look, don't lump all the killings in Nigeria together. It is important to disentangle some of these theaters of killing in order to know when indeed genocide is taking place. Yes, we have a multiplicity of insecurity in Nigeria. It is multifaceted. But one thing is certain. We have a group in Nigeria, a jihadi group. It's called Boko Haram, with a particular branch of Boko Haram called ISWAP that has a stated goal which it has demonstrated over and over and over, of cleansing Nigeria of its non-Muslim population. And let me quickly make this point now. It's when Boko Haram started initially. Boko Haram really didn't make a distinction between who was Muslim and who wasn't a Muslim. But it is because in the estimation of Boko Haram, those of us are not in Sambisa forest with them are not Muslims alongside the Christians. Muslims must understand this. In the estimation of Boko Haram, you are not a Muslim. You are an infidel. Because you do not believe in their own brand of Islam. This is something that we must understand. So they're not killing you because they think you are Muslim. No, you are not a Muslim alongside the Christians. But sometime in 2016, when Boko Haram paid allegiance and tried to become an affiliate of ISIS in the Middle East, ISIS now gave a guideline to Boko Haram and issued what you can call their own version of Islamic rules of war engagement. And ISIS made it known that, okay, Boko Haram stopped targeting Muslims, both nominal Muslims or otherwise, for what it is worth. And they stopped targeting public places where Muslim casualties can actually be recorded. Now, Abu Shekau, the leader of Boko Haram then, rejected this directive. I said, look, as far as it's concerned, anybody that is not here with me fighting, or who is not our covert supporter out there, is not a Muslim. It's as simple as that. And so when he rejected, a number of commanders within the rank and file of Boko Haram actually saw reason with this other directive. And then they broke ranks with Abu Shekau and formed the Islamic State of West Africa province, which became the real affiliate now of ISIS, receiving both training, logistical support, and funding. Now, they abided by these rules of engagement. So they decided not to target the Muslim population of the Northeast and elsewhere, except Muslims that are serving in the army or security agencies or aid workers, or probably informants maybe. But ordinarily, members of the JTF, yes. But the ordinary populace were not to be targeted. Now, for them, they also did this because strategically it was expedient for them to leave. Because at that time, Boko Haram was going to lose, it was a religious group. It was beginning to lose local support as well because we are killing everybody indiscriminately. So they saw reasons to say, why not just let's take one at a time. I mean, let us engage ourselves with the populace. While we target military forces. That was when you saw a spike in the Northeast of frontal daredevil attack against military formations in the Northeast. One platform, one formation after the other. It was like ambushes. It was just almost every single day we are hearing of soldiers being killed, sacked from their platforms and other formations. But there was something significant also that they did. Whenever they capture Christians, and this is important for me to say, whenever ISWAP captures Christians within their areas of operation, they usually make a spectacle of their public execution, including the camp chairman of Adamawa then, who was publicly executed. The videos are all over social media. They are in YouTube. They made it a public spectacle to demonstrate that, look, okay, as far as we are concerned, people of this faith are to be cleansed of the system to make way for their own brand of an Islamic state. As long as this group exists and have this antecedent and have demonstrated this stated goal, you will not fault both the local and global Christian community who feel that Nigeria is dealing with a jihadi group that, in addition to fighting government forces, also targets Christians specifically. The shootings in our Catholic Church was traced to elements of Israel from Kogi State, for instance. There are many more of such activities that like against the Christian community in Nigeria. Now, this does not again vitiate the fact that the other Boko Haram faction or the remnant of the Abu Shekau faction, instead of rampage, killing everybody that they see in sight. But we must not conflict both. Now, if Muslims do not speak out if they are killed by other bandits or a Boko Haram faction that do not think that they are Muslims. And they do not feel endangered by the level of killings going on in the north. We cannot fault the Christian group and their brethren all over the world who feel, look, for every one Christian that is killed, we are concerned. It means they value life more than those of us who do not really complain. So I don't like it when somebody says, I am being killed. And you say, no, keep quiet, I'm also being killed. No, that's not a solution to the problem. If you are not complaining that you are being killed, if you are comfortable and not talking about it enough, let those who feel that their own demography is being targeted by a hostile religious jihadi group, such as ISWAP, let them speak. And what the Nigerian state should simply say, which I know for a fact, is that collectively the Nigerian state is fighting to defeat ISWAP. Meaning the state is not giving support or giving encouragement to the targeting of Christians in Nigeria as a group, no. Just as the Nigerian state is fighting banditry that affects even more Muslims in the northwest than any other group, or the Abu Shekau faction of Boko Haram that is killing everybody that they see inside, the government is also dealing with ISWAP. Collectively, with all our blood, tears, and sweat, we are dealing with ISWAP. So meaning the state is not supporting ISWAP to do what they are doing. This can be a good explanation.
Okay.
But to attempt to now say people shouldn't talk about it the way we are talking about it, address the issue. It is good to acknowledge that, yes, these things are actually happening. The fact that there's a jihadi group called ISWAP that has a stated goal. Look at the issue of the girl that was abducted alongside the other girls from...
Yeah, Leah Sharibu. But before we get into that, let's take a quick break, sir.
Say hello, Lagos. Hello, Port Harcourt. Hello, Abuja. Audio Jungle.
A move by Nigerian lawmakers to counter a U.S. Senate bill targeting Nigeria over religious freedom. And just like Dr. Majeed is saying, let's not conflate the attacks, but at the same time address the issues. This also bearing in mind that there's anxiety over what is going on in the North Central as a whole. We're talking about states, communities that have been racked, emptied, farmlands abandoned, people displaced in hundreds of thousands, and whether it is Plateau State, Benue State, Adamawa, wherever the situation is, it is a dire situation. I look at Benin Plateau, Niger, Kogi, Kwara, Nasarawa, and other parts of Adamawa lumped up in the North Central, and we're looking at least, according to various reports, 6,896 people being killed in Benue State, while another 2,630 lives lost in Plateau State in the last 4 years. There's also the concern about what is happening in Kwara State, and what you generally get from a lot of these reports is that most of the people who are being killed in these communities are Christians. I think this is also adding up to what we are seeing with the move by the U.S. Senate. But you were making a point, sir, so let's let you get back.
So Sharibu, for instance, is still in captivity. When they abducted her friends, they abducted her friends and her classmates and schoolmates, Boko Haram, the usual bunch of Boko Haram, brought them back to Dapchi town and addressed the people.
Yes.
I said, look, we're no longer hostile to you. We are one. We're fighting for you. And so, but stop going to school, and they gave them all the necessary instructions. And then they left. And symbolically, they left the only Christian girl behind with them. Information said that she was later converted, but the truth is she was treated differently on account of her
religion,
faith by this group.
Yeah.
And this group is a very deadly one. very deadly, a very formidable group. And the Nigerian state is fighting and losing officers and men just to combat and to contain. So if a group as deadly as this, a terror network, is affiliated to ISIS, and if you recall, when ISIS was also in form in the Middle East, in Syria, in Iraq, they targeted the Yazidis, Christians, and other minorities. As we speak right now, because of the taking over of Syria by Islamist jihadists, the Druze community in Syria is under attack by sundry groups, and the government of Syria cannot even defend such citizens because, in a way, they also do not consider those people human enough. But thank God, in the case of Nigeria, the Nigerian government, when it comes to ISWAP as a group, is trying all within its might to rise up to the challenge. But there's also another aspect that government is not doing enough, and I must also state it, as it regards religious freedoms. I have always said that Nigeria is a secular state and must remain so, and that no component part of Nigeria must institute any religious laws that seems to now supersede the constitution of the country.
Are you referring to Sharia?
Of course, it's a problem. Look, for example, the most glaring one is the blasphemy laws.
12 states from my
in
latest
2017,
yeah.
Bridget Agbahime, a Christian woman, was killed by a mob in the Motor Park market in Kano on charges of blasphemy instantly. Why? Somebody wanted to do ablution in front of her shop, and she said no, the person should shift to the other side and not pour water in front of her shop. That was all. That was recorded as blasphemy. She was murdered in cold blood. The state government and the federal government at the time could not bring justice to this woman. This is a violation of not just her fundamental humanity, but her life itself. Meaning, her right as a Christian living in Kano was highly limited because of this simple incident. Now, look at the celebrated case or the notorious case of Deborah Samuel. I had to go to Lagos to protest alongside other Christian groups when she was killed too on account of blasphemy. In her own case, she didn't go to trial. It was a WhatsApp chat that was exposed. She was killed. The Sokoto state government and the federal government has not been to bring anybody to justice on account of that. There are many more such cases. This is where government now needs to do the needful so that we don't become an Afghanistan or a Pakistan of some sort, where you have dual systems, dual laws in supposedly one country that is religiously motivated. These are the issues. So if for so long we've tolerated some of these things, the global world is looking at us and they're beginning to categorize us as countries such as Afghanistan, such as Pakistan, such as Bangladesh, where you do not have religious freedoms. And I keep saying this. The reason why people like us are pushing for this is we do not want to be victims. We do not want a situation where the table will turn and I find myself on the wrong side of the divide and I'll face similar circumstances. I keep making the point that as a Muslim living, for example, in India, under Narendra Modi and his pro-Hindu BJP party, you would agree with me that religious freedoms as a Muslim is highly curtailed in India today as we speak. Because the authorities will look the other way if Muslims are being slaughtered because, for instance, they are sacrificing cow for Eid, which is sacrilege to the Hindu. So the authorities will feel, well, should have known that better than to sacrifice cow to do it. But it's my religious obligation. If you worship cow, well, I eat it. Why you are worshiping that should be eating it? You shouldn't be able to kill me for eating cow. But because somebody is in the majority and dominates the government, even the local police do not bring people to justice when Muslims are harassed for simply observing their own religious obligation in India because they find themselves as minority there. This way Deborah was killed here for blasphemy. How about in Myanmar, for instance, where it is a capital offense to be a Muslim? Just being a Muslim. As we speak today, the Muslim community in Myanmar, they call them the Rohingyas, are stateless people. They don't have citizenship. The state does not recognize them because the extremist Buddhists that are in power so much hate them on the basis of their religion that they have denied them citizenship and they are visiting violence upon them. To such an extent that Aung San Suu Kyi, who's supposed to be a Nobel Peace Prize winner, when it came to this matter, she couldn't rise above the pettiness of her Buddhism to defend the Muslim population. Now she created an excuse for the reason why Muslims are being killed on a genocidal level in Myanmar. I could have been a Muslim in Myanmar. We want a better world. We want a better country. I've had reasons to condemn Christian governors of the South who used to say Rivers is a Christian state, for example, or Bayelsa is a Christian state, or use states supposed to build cathedrals. I've similarly called out some of those governors to say, no part of Nigeria is a Christian state. They say that none is an Islamic one. They belong to all Nigerians equally. And the state must not do anything to elevate one region over and above the other in the way that now makes minority groups, for example, Muslims in the South, to feel subjugated, to feel that their rights are curtailed, to feel that their religious freedoms are sort of curtailed. The same thing in the North. What we are saying is we want a country that is equal in opportunity to all, that is secular. That's why I preach secularism. It's only under a secular order that everybody has protection. Secularism simply means no religion dominates the other.
Yeah.
It does not mean anti-religion, as people want to think. But it means you will be dominated as a Muslim, and you as a Muslim will not dominate people that are not Muslims or that are Christians or other religious faith groups. No. As it is in the West, where everybody has equal opportunity before the law. Let me tell you this to the most people do not know. It is you are free as a Muslim in the West than in the Middle East. I'm sure
Free, free in what terms?
Thank you very much. For
Understand
instance, if you're a Shiite Muslim, you have your religious freedom severely curtailed if you're a Saudi citizen or a resident of Saudi Arabia on account of differences in ideology. The same thing if you are a Sunni Muslim and you live in Iran, your religious freedom is severely curtailed. In each of these countries, you cannot reach certain levels because on account of your religious belief, of your sectarian belief, even though you are all Muslims. But in the West, as we speak, a Sunni Muslim is the mayor of London. A Shiite Muslim may likely emerge the mayor of New York. Nobody cares. So you're being Shiite, being Sunni, being any kind of Muslim you are, in the West you have limitless opportunity in line with your democratic citizenship because it's a secular country. So even the Christian heritage of these countries has not limited, has not made the state to limit your own aspiration as a Muslim. No. Today in the Cathedral of Washington, when they are bringing in a new president, Muslim groups are represented among the national prayer gathering, as well as other religious groups, because it's trying to reflect what America has become today.
A secular state.
That is what we want in Nigeria. That's the reason why most of us are flying up behind at their embassies to go to their countries. So why do you want to turn Nigeria into an Afghanistan? Or into a Northern Ireland, and then abandon it and now start going to the West to go and take reprieve? And I keep pointing to the fact that wherever you've seen religious wars, you've discovered that Middle East countries do not accept refugees.
Yeah.
It is still the West, though, that will accept you as a refugee. So instead of us to live in peace in Nigeria, why are we trying to scatter ourselves so that we can now live in bits and pieces all over the Western world as refugees?
Okay. So basically the government's response...
is reactionary.
Reactionary.
We should reflect on this and now take a cue and look at the merit in this observation. Forget about the exaggeration, forget about the sensation. What are the... And I'm saying as a Nigerian, there are merits to what these people have said. And government needs to rise now and become a government and protect all citizens across the board against blasphemy laws and other stuff, religiously imposed laws in some parts of the country, while also putting in more effort, as we have seen. One thing I give to this government, again, the government is not enabling ISIS or ISWAP in any way. No. That is one thing I can tell you. And I'm aware, let me say this too, I'm aware from the grapevine that President Tinubu's trip to Dubai has yielded one major result for us as a country. And I hope and pray that it is implemented faithfully. And what is the result? The Dubai authorities have graciously granted Nigeria capabilities to be able to carry out a final solution on ISWAP. The kind of thing you see going on in Gaza, for instance, is about to happen in the Northeast. I hope and pray that the government will develop the political will to see it through. But for now, I can give kudos to the president for being able to engage diplomatically with the Middle East leaders to get the capabilities there in terms of armament, in terms of financing, in terms of training and equipment to be able to carry out an all-out war, the kind of war that Jerabo has just called for too. That I have been calling for total, comprehensive war. You can't be fighting guerrilla warfare for 15 years. You can't defeat these people. Cleanse that area. They're about to launch that kind of military operation now because we've gotten some level of capability to do so.
For a minute there, I heard you say the kind of thing we see going on in Gaza. Hopefully, they'll be able to clearly have the intel to mark out the innocents from the...
What I'm saying,
Okay.
an all-out war, not
indiscriminate.
No. But comprehensive, where civilians will be moved out and the thorough area bombardment before ground troops will move in will begin to happen in that particular Timbuktu Triangle and other hotspots in the northeast.
Okay.
So why I'm underscoring this is that the government is making all the effort to defeat ISWAP. But what the government is not doing much is those that are in town, those that are in the mainstream, in government houses, that are legislating religious wars that seem to now limit the religious rights and freedoms of people of other faith in some parts of the country. That is where the government really needs to work on.
Yeah. All right, then. Let's move on to our next story. I'm sure calls and contributions from the listeners may take us back to some of the issues you've raised. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has called for an independent, transparent, and comprehensive investigation into the academic and professional credentials of all members of the current administration. And of course, this is stemming from the what some people are now calling Uche Gate saga. Former minister, seeing as he resigned just yesterday, of innovation and science, and the other one I forget right now. But yes, former minister Uche Naji resigned. But Atiku Abubakar, alongside some other conversations that honestly we've had and we've heard over the past 2 days, are saying that it's not enough, and he should be subject to the full ambit of the law. What does the law say on this? While carrying out a thorough of all of the members of this current administration, I think it's going to be a bit tricky because perhaps he's prescribing a top-down approach, and we already know that there've been some incidents around the president himself. But this is what he's saying, because according to him, this is exposing the forgery-ridden character of this administration. I would say, first and foremost, when this news first broke and there were calls for, Uche Naji to resign, I think yesterday there was a response by the presidency. He wasn't looking too hopeful, and then we heard that he had indeed stepped down, even though he has come out to say his resignation is not an admission of guilt, but that, he just felt it was in the best interest of the ministry and of his legacy to step down. But in this instance now, what Atiku is saying, for a thorough, comprehensive check to be done, especially seeing as the agencies that were responsible for the minister doing, what was it now, it's been 2 years in the administration when he shouldn't have even been made to serve in the first place, if thorough checks were done, is also calling to question the credibility of agencies that were responsible for ensuring that any minister, assumes office with the proper documentation. So what's your take on this? Do you think that this is an isolated case, or should we really go ahead and do a deep dive and ensure that everybody faces the ambit of the law? Because Uche's case, despite his resignation, there's what the law says. The law does have prescriptions for anybody who is found to have forged a document. And the biggest conversation in all of this, even if he's saying he's not guilty, is that what did he present, at the ministerial screening? Because conversations, even that he has admitted to, states that he didn't get a certificate from UNN. So what then did he submit? So even if he has resigned, does this mean that we should put away the law, or is there more work to be done, on his case and also on other members of the administration, as prescribed, of course, by Atiku Abubakar?
Okay, number one, Uche Naji not admitted that he forged his certificate.
He did not.
Even his resignation does not indicate that he's resigning, because he now admits that indeed he committed the crime of forgery. So, since he's not admitted yet, I wouldn't want to take it for granted that he did it. So what I would now call for is simple. Since it's now a matter of public discourse, it's now a matter of public and national interest, if you ask me, let the police now step in, investigate this matter, and now come up with their own findings. It's okay, he didn't forge. Oh no, he did forge. So if they find him guilty or they find sufficient evidence to suggest that he forged the certificate, they should be the one to now charge him to court under the relevant laws that concerns forgery and then perjury. Because in this case, what is going to work concurrently is forgery and perjury, meaning first you forged a certificate and secondly you lied under oath that you obtained these qualifications even when you did not legally. That's on one hand. But if the police goes in and comes out and says, okay, no, he actually graduated from UN and there was no forgery and there was no perjury, fine. So the police now owes the nation a duty to do this. And I think that ordinarily, they don't need to wait for anybody's prompting, either the president or so. It is their duty to do the needful. But if they won't do it, it's expected that the president will direct the police force to do the needful. Now, I'm saying this because he has not admitted. And it's still a matter that is his word against those of the people that actually accuse him. So I'm just trying to say, in line with our principle of not being guilty until found so by a competent court of judicial or something like that. Except somebody admits to be guilty. He has not in this case.
I mean, isn't it sort of like a toll order to expect that there will be an admission of guilt?
No. Salisu Buhari admitted. Salisu Buhari admitted. The former Minister of Finance admitted, eventually. But she blamed it on somebody who she gave it to. But she admitted that something was wrong with the certificate that she agrees.
Yes, she did.
Salisu Buhari admitted, and gave a lengthy speech. So I'm saying, he had not admitted.
And in this instance, did the law follow its course?
Yes, Salisu Buhari was convicted for 6 months by a magistrate court. But he was granted pardon by Obasanjo administration. Now what I'm saying is, this man has not admitted.
I hear you.
Having not admitted, as a public commentator myself, I will not jump the gun to say he's guilty. So I'm saying, police, help us out here. It's your duty now. Okay, look at all the facts before you. Is this guy guilty of this offense or otherwise? If he is guilty, if you think he's guilty, he has fought. Charge him to court immediately, as was the case of Salisu Buhari. Now, on the issue of the agencies of state that ordinarily is supposed to perform due diligence, right? One thing I can tell you for sure is that it will be difficult for any discrepancy of certificates or any other information supplied to escape scrutiny of the DSS, the NIA, or even the Nigerian Police Force.
Is INEC part of this?
No, INEC.
INEC also
INEC does not have the duty to go and verify.
They don't.
What INEC will do is this: if you submit your credentials as a prospective candidate, INEC will not publish it openly for everybody to see. So if you now see that Majeed Dahiru says he's a professor of chemistry, you see there and you feel, how, where, when, you can now begin to raise concerns and prove further and actually write using the FOI to wherever I claim to have gotten my professorship from to say, did he get professorship here? Those are the issues. So our next one is to publish it. That's their role. So public interest people that are interested in the matter will now take it up and say, okay, I doubt this guy actually obtained whatever he said he has obtained at INEC is publishing, and and the matter starts from there.
So the scrutiny is the responsibility of the DSS?
No, for appointment, this guys are different. For appointment, it is the DSS. When you nominate candidates or prospective candidates for ambassadorial, ministerial, and other such top government jobs, the list is sent to INEC for vetting. So INEC will go through your criminal records, everything about you anyway, to produce. Now, it's their duty now to fish out whether or not where you claim to have gone to school you did not, or you didn't graduate. At that stage, you're supposed to actually be detected. And I can assure you, if, without conceding, if Naji indeed forged his certificate, if he did, until the Nigerian police, until he admits it or Nigerian police force comes out, because the Nigerian police force is the authority that can do this, not me, not you. But if, for instance, assuming but not necessarily saying so, that he did forge his certificate, one thing I can assure you is that DSS would have detected it. Now, but what DSS would do normally is, whatever they discover about any of the candidates that the president has submitted as nominees for ministerial appointment, they will submit the report confidentially to the president. So this is your candidate, he has a murder case. This one, he has a case of domestic violence against his wife. This one stole crayfish in the market one time. All these reports will go to the president. But if the president decides, in spite of some of these discrepancies that, okay, there is a value, there's a purpose, that person must be my cabinet. We supersede this other one. Such reports are now stepped down when these nominees are forwarded to the Senate. So what goes to the Senate is not what goes to the president. Except the president now wants to drop the same. Does not to be the person dropping him, they will forward that information raw to the Senate.
To the Senate.
So they will now rely on that to say, okay, this person has K-Lego, let us drop him. So the person will not now bring the president. Example of this is National Air, for instance. So the simple that dictated that National Air was a security risk, I think that they didn't detect somebody's forged certificate, they would have done so. Because it is easier to detect a certificate forgery than a national security threat on the scale of an Air, as purported in that report. Now, if you observe, under Buhari administration, something funny happened. When they nominated Magu to the Senate for clearance, a damn report of DSS was accompanied with his nomination. And most people then we are blaming the Senate. I said, no. This report that they forwarded to the Senate is the president's own way of saying, don't clear him, without him saying so. The only thing is that the president then wanted to set the Nigerian poll up against the Senate. And eventually, when they nominated him, I think twice, and the report came twice, and they dropped him twice, they allowed him to be in that position because Magu himself had a lot of media support for the kind of work he was doing. So the regime was a bit, okay, they didn't want to be seen to be going against somebody that has now assumed the role or the image of an anti-corruption star. But at the same time, we don't want him. That was when Buhari got his second term, the same Magu was bundled into Area 10 police station and thrown into the cell for issues that till today remain very unclear. He was removed unceremoniously. Meaning, ab initio, they never wanted him. But they wanted the Senate to do the job. So they forwarded the report that was done against him straight to the Senate. But if the president does not want such a thing for any of his nominees and he feels I still wanted to be minister, that report will not get to the Senate. And even if the report is such that, okay, it's something that is tricky, it's something that is not known to the DSS alone, because petitions can come.
Yes,
petitions can come from public to say, this person did not go to UNN or he didn't get from UNN. Such can happen. In fact, when they appointed him, there was that insinuation right from the beginning.
Yes, from 2023, it's been
in
there.
that case, again, political intervention can come to say, okay, in spite of that, I need him, clear him for me. That can be done. So it doesn't mean that DSS did not detect. Nobody forget it. It was detected. If it is the deed, the case that he forged, it was detected. Forget it. But political constitution can say, look, I have a reason why I want him in cabinet. There could be political reasons why. There could be personal reasons why. Reasons of friends. A lot of other reasons can be. So ignore this one, put him there. So it's at the discretion of the president.
Which could give credence to what Atiku Abubakar is then calling for a thorough review of this entire administration.
Calling on the president to review, from what I just explained, is we are asking for the impossible. I've told you that if there's anybody in that cabinet now with similar problem, the people knows. You think he doesn't know?
So is it solely on the federal government now to carry out this review, or can people institute via calls to say, okay, let's review this?
And what you can do is you can write to the same way Premium Times wrote to UNN. Let Premium Times and other media house write to all the institutions they all claim to have attended. It's as simple as that now. There's no issue. Is not a Atiku can even initiate. Atiku should get his office to write to all the universities that all the 50 ministers claim to have attended and come up with his own report. So it's as simple as that.
But I'm just wondering what the implications are. For example, what you've described now, say indeed there was a case of forgery and the report was reportedly stepped down. What are the implications of that for us as a country? Why should people who have these kinds of issues, no matter what other competencies that they have, be made to assume office? Because what
you're asking me,
it's true now. Some will say is what you have that you will give.
You and I are Nigerians, so I believe we've spent too much. I mean, all in the past couple of years, we've spent all the time we're talking about the democratic leadership movement in Nigeria as faulty. I wouldn't be talking about it on this program. Yeah. And this is like the end product. If public service was indeed about the public, you see none of this happening. But it's not. And it's nothing, I mean, I don't know, are you not tired of talking about it? It's not about the public, it's not about public, it's not about public service. That's why I said there are, the guy for that contested for governorship under the platform of APC. So he needs to be compensated now for holding the party together in the state, spending his resources to keep the party alive, to keep the party afloat. So he has to be given a state appointment. That's the system we run in Nigeria. And that is why in the last 2-3 years, nothing has been innovated in the Ministry of Science and Innovation. We're still importing rechargeable lamp, we're still importing toothpick and all of that.
Because patronage.
It's patronage. That was the reason it was put there. And it's not peculiar to him. That is the system we are running, which we have been calling for an overhaul. Until you change the system, you will keep having issues like this and much worse.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back.
We dey find the best innovators for all the 37 states for Naija.
And then right after that, we'll open up the phone line to get into our final story for the afternoon. Dr. Majeed is here. It's the midweek special, and we have been addressing some very pertinent issues. Let's take this one here. See who this is. Okay. All of you. Let's just get this voice note out.
Hello, Sister Somi. Good afternoon. And my good afternoon to Dr. Majeed. Please, I want to support what Dr. Majeed said about this Boko Haram and this. Please, have you ever, where the Islamic nation or Muslim country condemn Boko Haram? I mean, country like Saudi, Iran, Qatar, all these Arab countries, have you ever heard where they condemn the killing of Boko Haram in Nigeria? How Boko Haram is killing Nigeria? But now when Christians are complaining, they said no, they are killing Muslims. How many Muslim countries condemn Boko Haram? Nobody. They just keep quiet. So now for Christians to come out and complain that they are killing them, yes, they are killing Christians. If the Muslims are being killed, let the Muslim nation condemn it. All this talking with two sides of your mouth, it's not possible. It's not good. Islamic nation are supporting Boko Haram. Yes, either directly or indirectly, they have been sponsoring them, they have been training them to kill other people. So now, if the Christian can accept it, don't accept it, fine. Let the Muslim condemn it. Thank you. I'm Mr. Ojo from Abuja here. Have a nice day.
Good afternoon, Somi. Happy to have Dr. Majeed back in the house today. I'm always in shock how he has so cultivated his mind, that he's liberal-minded to this level of honesty and sincerity, even as a Nigerian Muslim. We still have a few special Nigerians alive today, and Dr. Majeed is one of them, actually says. A greater proportion of radical Muslims will oppose and hate him, but thank God he's roundly developed and he will so intellectually dominate them. Okay. Greetings, Somi and Dr. Majeed. It's easy to say that there is not much religious tolerance in Nigeria. The Nigerian Sunni Muslims do not seem to tolerate less than 5% Shiites. They themselves, the Shiites, are brazen and seem to be confrontational, as if they seem to have some powerful forces behind them. The Christians, who are of many sects, perceive their states of mainly Christians are thoroughly being decimated, and they must have petitioned the USA about these. We must be very careful. And America's reprisal on these, just like they do to South Africa concerning racism. Okay, not very clear, but Solomon from Gariki says, good afternoon, Somi. Please, I haven't been... Okay. Just listening tomorrow. She'll be on the show tomorrow, okay? And yes, she's very, very fine. She's excellent, as a matter of fact. Yahaya from Silesia says, good afternoon, Somi. I'm surprised Dr. Majeed is saying he's happy Nigerian government is about to carry out an operation in ISWAP like what Israel is doing in Gaza. He clarified that. He clarified that it's not indiscriminate civilians being killed. He clarified that part. So just making sure that you get the fact, because I even made reference to that, and that was cleared up, okay? I agree that the police should step into the certificate forgery saga, number one. Number two, I would have loved it if he did not go so deep with the diplomatic efforts of Mr. President to work with UAE government on security. Okay. All right. We'll come back after the news to take more of your contributions. Stay with us.
Let's talk. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.